Hi there. Today I want to introduce you to my I'm sorry, what? I'm supposed to have the camera sideways? Oh, otherwise it's in the wrong mode? Okay, well, let's try that again. Hello, and welcome back to Layered Wisdom, where we learn new things one layer at a time. Today I'd like to introduce you to the two printers that I have in my office. This one over here is Bambi, and this one over here is CC. Now, in case you're wondering why I named the printers the way I did, CC stands for Centauri Carbon, and Bambi is because it's a Bambu Labs printer. Well, that and Bambi over here is a Bambu Lab A1 printer. It is what is referred to as a bed slinger. This is because of the movement of the head and the bed. In this particular printer, the head moves back and forth and up and down, whereas the bed itself moves back and forth. This is different from the Centauri Carbon over here. The Centauri Carbon is what is called an Core XY printer. This is because on this particular printer, the head moves back and forth and side to side, and the bed itself moves up and down. There's really not much of a difference in how they actually work. Like any other FDM printer, filament is fed down through into what is called the extruder, which then pulls the filament into a nozzle where it is heated up and melted and extrudes out. In fact, you can see there's a little bit of melted plastic sitting on the end of this one because I didn't clean it up after I was done. Jared Owen has a great video explaining how the A1 printer works, and I've linked it here below. The Elegoo Centauri Carbon works in a very similar way. In this case, the filament is fed up from the side here through the tube down into the extruder. It is then fed into this nozzle here, a little bit more difficult to see on this printer. But again, that heats up the plastic, which then is deposited one layer at a time onto the bed. Now, the one major difference between these two printers is the fact that the Elegoo can be enclosed. I can actually close the door here. I can put the cover on, which is sitting over on the side. This then allows me to heat up the chamber of the printer so that it gets much warmer, which then supports high-end filaments. And again, in the video where we talk about filaments, we'll cover that in more detail. Now, on the Bambu, there is the addition of what is called the AMS, or the Automatic Management System. This allows me to put up to 4 different filaments onto the printer, all of which can be fed in down to the extruder. And what's really nice is that there is intelligence in the software that runs this so that you can determine which filament to use. And as a result, this printer can actually print up to 4 colors at a time, albeit with a big gotcha, which is that there is a lot of waste as the printer changes filaments. And again, we'll talk that in more detail in another video. Generally speaking, as far as prices is concerned, these printers run about the same cost. I paid about $300 for the Elegoo, and the Bambu without the AMS costs about the same. I would be amiss, however, not to mention the controversy that is going on with the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. When this printer was first introduced last year, Elegoo promised that it would also have an AMS system, And time went and time went, and here it is into the new year, and they still have not sent out the AMS. And in fact, they have created a new printer called the Centauri Carbon 2, which has an AMS on it. So needless to say, there's quite a few people that are upset, saying that Elegoo reneged on their promise. However, that all aside, this is an excellent printer for the price. If you were to compare this to the equivalent Core XY in the Bambu line, it ends up being about half the cost. The printer that Bambu has that would be equivalent to the Centauri is a P2S. But there is one thing to keep in mind. If you get the Bambu printer, you can also get their AMS Pro system and connect it in so that you can get the multicolor filament support on that. Whereas again, the Centauri does not have that. So now, if the purpose of this channel is to give you advice, the question is, should I get one of these printers? And here's what I would recommend. If you have just started into 3D printing, in other words, you don't have a printer, this is brand new to you, then I would recommend that you get the Bambu A1 with the AMS Lite system. That is an excellent entry point into this field. You pretty much can do a tremendous amount of printing with that printer and the multi-filament system that comes with it. Now, if you've already had some experience with printers, or you're looking to expand, or you're just saying, well, what about I want to get a Core XY and I want to get an enclosed printer because I need to use advanced filaments, then look at the Centauri Carbon, keeping in mind, of course, that it does not have the AMS unless you go to the Centauri Carbon 2. Now, I haven't looked at the 2 yet, so I really can't give a recommendation on that. Maybe sometime in the future we'll do that. One more thing I want to throw in about the AMS systems themselves, and again, why I recommend that you get the Bambu, is it's more really than multicolor. It's the fact that the AMS will feed the filament in for you. Basically, you just put the spool onto the AMS, you feed it in a little bit, and it automatically picks it up, runs it through, and loads it into the printer for you. The other thing also is that if you're using Bambu filament, they have a little tag inside their spools that the AMS can read so that it knows what kind and what color filament you've loaded onto the AMS. Now, of course, you can use other people's filaments and you just can manually go in and say, here's the filament I put on it. But again, it's that ability to feed filament into the printer that is very handy. Now, mind you, I do it on the Centauri without it, and it's just fine. But again, you're limited to just one color at a time. So thanks once again for tuning into Layered Wisdom. I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button to help me build this channel where I can help you gain more wisdom about 3D printing. See you next time.